What's up, everybody? My name is Peter Daltondo, and I am your host this week and next for the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenges. Today, we are going to be diving into Auto Animate and how you can quickly and easily animate different items in your designs, which is a great way to impress your clients, show developers maybe what you're envisioning and picturing for a screen transition or a micro interaction. And so it's a really, really handy tool, and I believe it's one of the strongest things in XD that really helps you take your designs to the next level. And because it's so easy to do, you kind of, or at least I find, I start designing thinking about motion and animation a little bit more, where that's something that might be in the back of my mind if that wasn't there. So let's jump in. And before we start, let's take a look. If you guys have not already signed up for the daily challenges, you can head on over to behance.net/challenge/XD. And you can sign up for these challenges. And each day as you come down, you'll see you can rewatch the past videos of the stream. So if you miss it, you can catch up and get the starter file and quickly go in and get started on the challenge for the day. And make sure to also join the Adobe XD Discord. This is a great spot to be a part of the community, to get pro tips and tips and tricks from other people, other mentors, as well as other designers in the Adobe XD community. And each day you can come on over here to the feedback area and click on current challenge and submit your link to either your Behance page or to your project file. And we'll go in each day and provide feedback for you guys on these challenges. Car is good to see you. One of our moderators, Tim Mobest, David, Gusbot. I see Adobe Live and I know it's Gusbot. Washington, good to see you guys all. And thanks for joining us on lunch. Eating and streaming, it's a great combination. I do that at home all the time. So let's jump into our file here. So the challenge for today is to design a podcast app. So something where you want to browse shows, you want to learn more about a show, play an episode, and we'll be focusing on just an individual screen and how we can animate some key items and components within that. We want to go over the principles of how we animate these items from screen to screen, and there's some kind of nuanced tricks and tips that you guys are going to need to know along this process. So we'll go over that, and again, it just really helps bring your work to life in a new way. Make sure to keep score today. One of the items that I want to showcase specifically here is to show your personality. I always encourage people when they want to create case studies or example projects, throw a little bit of yourself in there. So whatever things that you're into, enjoy, your hobbies, your interests, put that in your design. I generally find I and others design with a little bit more heart and passion when it's something that we care about, and the results are a little bit better. You're going to be super pumped about it, and your client or maybe an employer that's taking a look at your work gets a little sense of who you are, and they might even find a little bit of a culture fit along the way. So put a little bit of yourself into your designs. Evan and Joss, good to see you guys. Cindy from Reno. Where's everybody tuning in from today? I think we've got folks from all over. And let's take a quick look at some inspiration here and what we liked, or what I liked in some of these different designs. I really loved the pops of color in here, really made the artwork of the albums of, whether it's music or a podcast, really stand out. I really liked the kind of tab pull up in this design, and that's something that I incorporated into my concepts today. And again, just something really simplistic and really clean, and something that I find personally works really well in music, podcast, video apps, photo apps. I tend to like things that are either total light UI or dark UI. I don't like throwing lots of random colors in there. I want it to be something that is pretty standard in a way, so that the artwork of what it is that I'm working on or showcasing stands out a little bit more. And it can be really distracting when you start throwing in random colors. So light or white, off-white, and something in the dark range works really well because it pulls out and makes the artwork take center stage. So something that I would definitely recommend as you guys go forward on this project. And we're going to go through, I've actually pre-designed today because I want to get into the specifics and the mechanics of what it is that we're doing. And then afterwards, hopefully we'll have a few minutes and I want to go over a couple of challenges that got submitted already. So let's jump in. So as I mentioned, I want to pull in a little bit of personality. I mentioned part of the cool thing with Discord, we can get a group of people together. It's very gaming focused too. So some of us in the design community, we all play games after work, and one of them that we play is Apex Legends. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to come in here, and I created this podcast called Kings Canyon by the Afterwork Gamers Company, and we chat about games and whatnot. And so trying to pull a little bit of this in, it allows me to bring in a little bit of my interests, some cool artwork from the game, and just have some fun with it. So again, I encourage you guys, whatever you build, make it your own. And so coming in here, I've got the basic components all built out. And again, doing this somewhat for speed so we can get into things. And some of the transitions that I want to have happen are that when I click into an episode, I want it to showcase this tab that kind of pulls up from the bottom. And so what I want to do to make that happen is I'm going to come over to prototype mode, and I can then grab the areas or the components that I want to have and pull them over. And so what we've done in some of these examples now is, I've either grabbed like an entire section. So I actually copied this whole element over here as a group, and I have pulled it and dragged it to the bottom of this other artboard. And so it's peeking up by like a pixel or two. You don't want it to completely drop off the artboard, and you can set it to a 0% opacity if you'd like to hide an element and then bring it back in. And so I can link this up in a couple of different areas just to make sure that it's clickable wherever I want. And then what I can do is I come over here to the preview mode, and I can come down to this episode, and you see how now it's auto animate has quickly allowed us to auto expand that image and pull that information up from the bottom. So it's really, really easy to see that. So let's dive a little bit more into those mechanics so you guys are seeing what exactly is being animated and how we did it. So what I want to do is click on these elements. So I want to say this box here, and I can then drag this over, and I'm just going to bring it over to the next screen. So really simple. I can set it to a tap, which is going to be a tap or a click. And all of this will also work on the Adobe XD Mirror app. So you can download that to your phone, I believe connect over Wi-Fi, or I generally do it direct through USB. And I can simulate and test what this is going to be like and see it live on my phone. And you could even record yourself playing with your phone, send that to a client. The wows and jaw drops is real. It's really cool to send that out to folks and see what the reactions are like. And then from there, you can play with different items. So I want to do auto animate. I don't want to get into some of the specifics of the other transitions. I set the destination screen that it's going to. And then you can play around with different easings. And you might find things like the snap or the wind up and bounce give you the effect that you're looking for. So I would encourage you to go through and explore those different options. And then you can set the duration, and that's going to be the time that it takes for that action to complete. And so you can fiddle around with different things. Some you might want to happen really slow. Some you're going to want to happen almost instantaneously. So just play around with those, find out what works best. I usually find somewhere between 0.4 seconds and 0.8 seconds seems to feel about right. And that's a good spot to go from. And Raphael was asking if we will post this project somewhere. Yes, I can share this file with you guys afterwards in the Discord group. That way you can kind of dissect and see how some of this was done. This is definitely important to like understand some of these mechanics because it's not so much from the design standpoint, but it's understanding some of these triggers and whatnot. But once you get the hang of it, it's really, really simple. So let's go into a couple more advanced things. And so something here that is really cool is I want to animate, do a micro animation or interaction of what this play latest episode button here turns into a playhead. And so what I can do here is I want to go to prototype. I'm going to select that button. I'm going to bring it over here. And what's cool is I can have that set Actually, let me double check that. I've got it set to auto animate. We've got that ease in, ease out, and we've got that 8-second duration. And so again, I can come over here. I've got my screen and I can scroll through all of this and check everything out. And when I hit play latest episode, do you guys see how it did that transition? And what it's doing is actually taking the button, shrinking that into the circle, moving the play icon into the middle, and removing the text. And all of this is done instantly through Adobe XD and the auto animate feature. And so really quickly here, one more time, you get to see it. The transition of the screen comes up, that button animates beautifully, and it's just like that little spark of joy, a little bit of animation that gives it that little bit that now feels so unique and so interesting. And again, you send this off to your client and whatnot, and it makes things feel real. Or you can send it to your developer and say, this is the interaction that I want the user to experience through this step. And now they know exactly what to do rather than reading a sheet that says to animate it in some way and they're a little confused. So definitely take advantage of these features. Now let's go into another advanced detail here. If I come in here and I want to click on play and I want it to go to pause, you guys see there, it's kind of subtle. It's not that interesting. It just is like a fade transition. So how do we now think about how we can make this like really interesting and do something more dynamic? What we're gonna wanna do is come down to this screen. And what I did here was actually I rebuilt these layers. So this icon now, instead of using the default icon that I had, I created a new play icon and I just did 3 new paths. And so you can see the combination of these. And what's really important is that the way Auto Animate takes an animation from screen to screen or makes that connection between them is the naming convention of your layers. So it's really important that your layers all are named consistently. In this case, it's still just like path 67, 68, 69. But ideally you want to name them something very specific. That way you don't worry about it getting messed up or whatnot. But as long as the name of the layer is the same from one screen to the next, it will connect the two and essentially animate the difference of them. If the naming conventions were different and say these were all 57, 58, and 59 on the second screen, it wouldn't know what to do and it wouldn't animate things correctly. So the naming of your layers is vitally important in this process. The other item is the layer order. You want to make sure that certain layers are towards the back or to the front. Otherwise, you'll have an issue with getting the animation to come in cleanly. And thankfully, I had an issue with that actually. And my buddies Evan Place and Mike Kotchenberger this morning were helping me out with a little thing in there that I had overlooked. So very, very important that you take a look at that. So as I mentioned, I've got path 67, 68, 69 over here. When I come over to this item, you can see all I did, actually I'll rebuild this really quickly. All I did was come down and I just deleted one of these. I brought the other one down to here and then essentially I spaced them out. So doing that kept them, it just changed the positioning. And so now when I hit play on this, you see how it is literally animating and it's just taking the top of that play triangle and dropping it over and then coming back up and then the other one comes back in. And so it's really awesome to be able to do that. You can do so many cool things here with animating your icons from screen to screens, doing really cool selected state or deselected state animations. It's just really neat. It's really powerful. And so would encourage you guys to definitely play around with that and explore. You can even get into things like time transitions where if you wanted this, might be a little tougher in a load or in a play indicator like this, but like loading screens, you can have that transition auto-complete over a period of time. And so it's really, really cool and really, really handy. And then again, something else I would encourage you guys to play around with here is testing out, how do your designs work in light mode and dark mode, and seeing, what things might need to change a little bit. It's very common for music or podcast apps, especially if you're a nighttime listener wanting to switch into a dark mode. And so we might come and look at this and say, hey, the contrast levels are really tough on some of these. So I might change some of these elements from pink to white in order to be more easily processed by the user. And so, poke around with that stuff, play with things. Maybe that's something that you guys can do as you explore a little bit more in your projects and build some stuff out. Just try a light mode, try a dark mode, and again, put in some cool stuff, showcase your personality with this, and go from there. And in chat, Evan's saying you can also set delays to simulate loading screens and stuff too. It's really great. Wakar, yeah, doing icon morphing is fantastic. Andrew, yes, Spark of Joy. This is like Marie Kondoing our XD files, I guess, in a way. We're pulling out the joy that we have, and we throw away those artboards that just don't bring us joy anymore. But speaking of bringing joy, let's check out some challenges from the other day. I wanted to highlight a couple of them. Wakar, who we have here in chat, had another great challenge the other day with the recipe app. Again, really visually interesting. Did some cool transitions I was seeing with the plates animating as we come in and animating that, fading that into the back again. So you're like an auto animate pro at this point. But coming in, we can spin that plate, we move this up. So I'm excited to see what you do on this next challenge, knowing that you've already got some of these skill sets here. Really good job. Let's check out. I wanted to showcase Florian. So Florian mentioned this was his first Behance project, first time working in Adobe XD, and I thought this was really a great start. Loved how you built out your Behance project. You might be watching Josh's segment after this, and they're building a Behance case study. So you guys are probably picking up some tips and tricks there as well. But a really nice job with the presentation here. I might recommend you bring down some of these like reflections on some of these screens. It's a little distracting while yet realistic, but I wanted to come down and showcase the video that you had here. Again, for a beginner, this is fantastic. You've got the cool loading animation. You've got, I love this pump of like the volume coming out louder. So it's giving not just the volume dial indicator, but you're like visually seeing this thing, grow. It's just really cool. And you did a great job of thinking through these additional screens, animating. So I'm really excited to see your progress as you go through the rest of these challenges and in future weeks, because you've got some talent here. It's really cool. And another one, unfortunately, I think I lost whose this is. So if anybody recognizes this one, please give a shout out. I'm gonna guess this is from Vijaya. And let's check this one out. So again, just really cool use of these colors and gradients to make differentiation between the rooms that we've got. I can click into the living room and see a wide variety of devices, really clean and smooth here. Again, this is also using Auto Animate. So what they're doing is they're setting up these cards on each side a little bit smaller, and then it grows in the middle so that as it drags over, it's scaling up just a tad, and we're able to go through and carousel this. And I can come in here, check out what's playing on that device. It looks like I can edit the name. I can change the color. I can sync lights with media, which this was one of the things that really stood out to me about this project, was that I love, and what I would encourage you guys to all do in these challenges is to think outside the box. We're giving you a starting point and something to hopefully like kick off and start running from with these project prompts. But like, I really want you guys to think through and see, how do we make this product better? How do we take this thing to the next level? What other things need to be thought through in order to be successful? And things like this with syncing lights to the media so that the light color changes with what's on the TV or the type of sounds that are coming out. These are really cool details that as a product designer you get to think of and enhance. And I love so much that you guys are doing this. It makes me really, really happy. Things here like daylight mode, white mode, U automatic, You even got stuff in here since it's a Google device. This is a small detail, but it's so good that you've got asking, your Google Assistant right here in the product, and you can activate. Like, this is the stuff that it comes from creativity, working with the team to think through these ideas. It's just really well done. So nice job. All right, let's check out one more. Ed, I wanted to showcase this one as well. So this was a little bit of the first day's challenge. So again, pulling out that dark UI, and I liked the twist on this one because rather than necessarily just like a direct volume control, he's even getting into the RGB lighting that is in a desktop or a laptop PC. And so really cool here, being able to, select your device, control the RGB lighting system from within it. Again, it's really cool, way to think outside the box, and remembering that you guys can add animated GIFs and movie files into your project files. It's fantastic to be able to do that and showcase your work. Again, it really brings these projects to life, and definitely tune into Josh's segment with Howard after this as well. It's really cool to see how you can build out a case study to be successful. And if we come here, I want to go to Behance and let's search for XD Daily Challenge. And I just want to showcase, like, as we look at this, I want you guys to ask yourselves a question and, respond in chat, like, which projects here, actually, I think I'm zoomed out a bit. Which projects here are the ones that call out to you the most and make you want to, explore and learn more? The way that you present your work is so important in order to, again, attract clients or attract employers and whatnot. So I want you guys to also think through how you want to showcase the work that you have, because something that is just saying it's a music app design, but I don't get to see it, that's not quite as enticing as, again, Wakar's here from the other day, where I get to see a little bit of the app. There's a lot of energy from things. This one from Jackson with the music concept, I see these really bold colors. This app is really popping off the page and UI components from it. That's the kind of stuff that's going to be really visually interesting and pull people in. And it's really important because you might have some really great work hidden behind a curtain, and if it's not going to get people to check that out, you're not going to get the same visibility and whatnot from that work. So definitely pay attention to that stuff as you go through and check that out. I definitely recognize a couple more from here. We talked about the Coco app. I think this one, again, like, great job here pulling in the presence and imagery from Netflix and Stranger Things, and I go through and I get to see the different components. And this is something that it's making me want to continue to engage and scroll through, and I want to see this whole project. I want to come down and click and see what this video is like. It's kind of telling a story. So make sure that you guys put that attention to detail in your case study projects. Don't just drop a screen or two and hope for the best. Take a few minutes. You guys can edit these projects afterwards, so even go back and edit some of your older stuff and really put in a little bit of effort to make the most of that. And I think that's going to help you guys tremendously. Real quick, I wanted to show you guys how you submit your work. You can come up here to the share link, and you can say share for review, and you can bring this up, and you can allow comments, show hotspots and hints, show navigation controls, etc. if you want to password protect it or whatnot. And you can set a link for this and send this out. And you just hit create link. It'll generate that link for you. And taking just a moment here, and you can copy that and send that. So that's the link that you're going to send and post in Discord for us to check out, or upload your work to Behance. It's a great way for us not only in Discord to see it, but for the whole world to see it and check it out. So I think that's about going to wrap us up for today, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. Excited to jump into tomorrow's challenge. We'll sneak what that's going to be at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Thank you all so much for joining, and see y'all tomorrow.